Thanks for coming along. Really appreciate you coming in today.
All good. Novel to be back in the city, actually.
Yeah.
For once.
How does that feel? You were just saying as you were coming in, it's like you haven't been to the city for weeks.
Yeah, look, it's good, but it's been a very interesting experiment.
Yes.
Particularly as sort of a CEO of a business and seeing how a business can function in a very different sort of non-traditional manner, and how we're all working, remotely in our own houses. I think it's going to change the way a certain number of businesses work, I'd have thought.
So how has it been working for you? Has it been business as usual or business as unusual?
Look, in terms of how we functioned as a business, it's almost been business as usual. We're working remotely. We've got our CTO, our dev team. We're regularly checking in on video calls. We're having video calls with the UK or US, etc., as we always would do. It's worked very, very well, and it's just helped us get a bit more of a work-life balance as well, I think. Yeah. Saving on commuter time.
Yes.
So it's been good. I think everyone's enjoyed it. In our company, in our culture, everyone works remotely, and you got to have a little bit of trust.
Yes.
That the people aren't off down the beach, but as long as they're getting the work done.
Yeah.
And we're
so you don't have a camera down on the beach checking on them?
Yeah, well, occasionally. I don't think that's legal.
So you mentioned, as we were just chatting before, that you taking this opportunity of lockdown and so on to actually go back a step and kind of retool the business and actually come out of this stronger. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Look, I think it became apparent very, very quickly that you sort of got probably two types of businesses in this sort of period of COVID-19. One are businesses such as Zoom, where it works very nicely for those guys, and it's around sales generation, etc., scaling, managed increases in demand. Other businesses or categories such as the outdoor advertising marketplace, which is usually $1 billion a year here, 55 bill globally a year, have been decimated through no fault of their own. It's been decimated. People aren't out on the streets, so why would advertisers pay? Right, they're not seeing them. So I quickly realised we're in the latter, and you're not really going to generate incremental sales. We're luckily, we've got a sort of steady base of sales. But I decided to pivot the business straight into product development, and ultimately to come out stronger than we've gone into this sort of period of isolation, and it seems to be working.
So what are some of the lessons that other businesses can take from this? How can they come out stronger? What are some of the things that you learned of them just in the last few weeks of taking a step back and
I think there's the basic hygiene factors, get all over your financials. Have a period on which you're focusing on cash flow. So straight away, I've managed the business cash. We're good until the end of October without any incremental sales coming in. So you can sort of remove that pressure point a little bit if you can, because that can be a major distraction to anyone, right? And particularly CEO, keep them up at night time. You've got your financials. Part of that is your team. Motivate your team. Make sure they're in a position whereby they can keep effectively working. These are day-to-day hygiene factors. But sort of establish quickly which of those two categories that I mentioned earlier that you're in. Can you drive sales? If you can't, right, refocus the business, have a purpose. And for us, it's around product development, making our tech better. And actually we're also building a new product, but you've got to face up to it and not panic. CEOs, businesses, startups, we have challenges every day, every week. This is one of those things.
So what I hear, the two biggest takeaways is actually face up to it and not panic. It's like,
that's right.
I think we've certainly spoken to a lot of businesses where the reality is that they're not really facing up to it, and they're sort of aware, but they go, but I don't want to do what I have to do. And nobody knows exactly how the economy is going to start rebooting. you know, my personal view is it's going to take a very long time. So we need to have a lot of runway, much longer than we probably ever thought. You know, I think it's fairly well known the Australian business average cash reserve is something like a couple of weeks, and you know, that is one of the things that certainly has to change in the months and years ahead.
But also get good advice, and in terms of what you are entitled to as a business, whether it's JobKeeper, whatever it might be, you know, don't be embarrassed. Reach out. That's what it's there for. You know, some CEOs probably would be a bit embarrassed that they're in a bit of financial trouble. Again, you know, face up to it, and it's a reality. And if there's various grants, etc., you know, you use it for this period.
That's why they're there.
That's right. That's right.
As you're going out again in a couple of months, you know, people are going to come back in the streets. Outdoor advertising is going to bloom again, no doubt, because it would appear there's a lot of very large corporates that have basically cancelled their budgets. So they got money sitting there going, okay, let's go and do something. And you know, it's, you know, apart from a couple of obvious categories, a lot of categories have actually lost revenue in the last quarter. How are you going to deal with the increased demand that's going to happen for your business?
Look, out of home, it will take a while to come back. It will. And will it exceed previous levels? I don't think so. It'll probably come in and stabilise. It's been very consistent. Of all advertising that happens in Australia, out of home represents about 5 to 6%.
Okay.
That's its sort of share versus TV, digital, print, etc. And it'll probably go back to that sort of level. There was a little bit of growth through conversion of some of the sites to, you know, that digitisation that is we all see on the streets sort of happening. So for us, it's not really like this market will just start to grow our business as was our previous plan, but we'll have better tech, we'll have a better sales story, more automation, so that's the plan. But for us, it's about other markets.
So does a business like yours, well, exactly my point, does this business work in other markets?
Yeah, so as I alluded to earlier, we're having conversations with various companies in the UK, US. I travelled a fair bit the last sort of year and a half or so to a couple of those markets. We'll be looking to launch into the UK next. We've got a plan to launch into New Zealand, then the US. So those plans are fairly progressed. For us, it's really about being able to scale up for those markets. They're big markets. Australia's a top 10. The UK is twice the size of the Australian market. In terms of number of as I suppose I'm talking about sort of outdoor advertising. What we basically are, we're a sort of reg tech. We're a auditing sort of compliance verification business for physical assets. So at the moment, it's out of home industry. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of outdoor sites that you've got companies, advertisers paying for. They want proof that it's all working. And we've got tech whereby through crowdsourcing we send people out who through a very intuitive sort of reporting form app can verify that those sites are all sort of legit and everything's sort of working well.
So if we can dwell on that for a second, we sort of just talked about it sort of before we sat down. In this market right now, with a lot of people that don't have much to do, a lot of unemployment and so on and so forth coming in, have you guys suddenly seen a surge of people that are putting their hand up and say, hey, I can go?
We have, and the patterns have changed of when people do it. So generally our jobs, for our outdoor advertising jobs, checks that need to be completed, they're pushed through the app on a sort of Monday morning. People grab their own jobs, so like an Uber. They literally tap on an area, see all the jobs, grab them. We have various tiers of checkers. Either a checker, which is entry point, a checker plus, or a checker pro. The app actually is being rebranded to Check It Pro as we speak. And it's just weird. They're sort of all the jobs are happening on a Monday, Tuesday. and people are out from 9 a.m. because they're all sitting at home, furloughed or whatever it may be, or in the worst case scenario, have lost their job. So we're actually trying to provide, we're an income source for them, which is a good and feel good factor. It's good for the community, good for the country. But the patterns have changed. But again, to my point earlier, Mike, it's about taking advantages of this situation. So if you've got a lot of people not doing a lot, now's a really good time for us to recruit, drive our brand awareness of the app, get more app downloads, get more people on the platform. So we're working really hard at recruiting in regional areas, for example, but we're also looking at the modelling that will apply to the UK, because wherever it'll be the same.
A bit the same, isn't it?
It's the same. So we're learning and building all our IP here, and the last year we've put up through hundreds of thousands of these. So when it comes now to machine learning, AI, we've got a lot of data that we can use, a lot of insights.
So, on previous conversations you and I had, it sounds like, Check It isn't just about the outdoor advertising. It can actually be used for a whole lot of things. And I found that quite fascinating. Are you able to elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, look, the application, so our whole platform, our whole business with outdoor advertising was called OAS. Originally it was called Outdoor Inspection Services.
Yep. Sounds a bit dry.
Very dry. We've moved to OAS, which is sort of, and we've built strong equity here in the US, UK, for example. And so that is our business front-facing part of the business for out of home. But moving forward, the app will be rebranded to Check It Pro, because they're actually independent. That app can be used for auditing anything. So finance, we've got a lot of interest around checking ATMs, ticketing systems throughout the rail networks, vending machines.
Of course.
So there's there's tens of millions. If you think about physical assets, the government, their road signage, they don't know where it is. They don't know what condition it's in. So there's a lot of areas that we will apply this to, and that's part of our scale up and rollout plan. But we want to get out of home really nailed first, because that's probably the most complex of all those categories. And the idea, a bank could have our SaaS, our platform, download it, have access through the app to this workforce, have their own dashboard, they just manage it all themselves. And really for us, it becomes our objective, our challenge becomes completion rates. If they've got 10,000 sites that need to be done on a Tuesday, how do we get 10,000 done? It's about having the right workforce, the right automation, the right incentives. We're working at the moment in terms of our pricing for jobs in the app. We're moving towards dynamic pricing, algorithmic-based pricing, because some assets are harder to audit, check than others. So again, we need to optimise what we pay, but also optimise for our clients their budget.
So, if we do this really dangerous thing and we look ahead 4 or 5 years, where's OAS and Check It Pro? Where's it all going to be? Right. What's your grand vision with this?
So I want Check It Pro to be right up there with Uber.
Okay.
Everyone's got the app on their phone, in their pocket, and when they're on the way to buy a sandwich at lunchtime, they do a couple of checks on the way, purely A to B. They don't veer off, they don't have to drive anywhere. It's an on your way A to B model, and they do 2 jobs and it pays for their sandwich. Yeah. Right, but everyone knows Check It Pro, and everyone's using the app for everyday life.
I like that. It pays for your sandwich.
Simple stuff. Yeah. But you've got some Check It Pros who, they want to get in the car and drive to different areas and do a lot of jobs, and it's their part-time job, and we're completely agnostic. They have a choice. They're not employees for us. There's nothing really they have to go through. Our business model is not as complex as the likes of an Uber.
No, you don't need a driver's
at all.
license.
It's really, really straightforward. But what we do see is also we're a filler, and maybe we would work with Uber Eats, Uber Drive, because we fill a big void, a big gap in terms of that when people can do jobs.
So when they're waiting at the pizzeria to pick up the next lot of pizzas, they could do 2 or 3 checks.
And when you're in a car and they're driving from A to B, they could do a couple of checks, or if they're on a freeway. So there's various segments of people who would do this. But on the demand side, it's really about driving that demand, and I think you'll be surprised how many businesses have physical assets that they don't really have true insight into compliance, or it's expensive. You know, I know a study, or actually New South Wales Government Transport are auditing a lot of their stations, and they're using all these qualified people, etc. We worked up a costing, it was a tenth of the price.
Yes.
But because the app's intuitive, it's robust, and we have got that quality assurance piece in there, it's great. Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it. My 14-year-old son does it on a Friday after school. So that's his pocket money.
Why
Goes
not?
to the local shopping centre. So anyone can do it. So there is a vision there. Again, on another example application, I don't see it as much here, but like the UK, where the toilets in the pubs and the restaurants, they have to be checked like every 15 minutes or so. And you walk in, you see a piece of paper,
on the back of the door,
sign it. Why not just get people who are in the pub to do it? Why have you got to get someone from behind the bar who should be serving, right, and making money for that pub, that business? You could just get someone who uses it and do it actually completely independently, verified through the app. And if there's an issue, it pings up straight away in the manager's phone, there's an issue, pops in, sorts it out, if it's a broken tap, whatever it might be. So there's a very broad applications of this product, which actually has been a little bit, for me as a CEO, it's been a challenge, because I wasn't sure which bit, where are we going, how we're scaling. But I'm sort of more clear at the moment, but also more open to opportunities that open or appear in different markets. But the core at the moment, what's built the business out, is outdoor. But we are also moving into RegTech software compliance as well. Whereby we can actually deliver software where it's not a person, it's not a physical asset. It's it's just smart software that can be used. So
it sounds like you've sorted out the roadmap.
I think so. Now we're ready to scale, but it's about we've done a lot organically. We've proven there's a model and we can scale now, but it's about capital now. Being able to do it. And I think we're pretty close, and I think this period has been good for me in terms of just being able to sort of think and clear the head a little bit, and just get a direction and get everyone aligned. But we're clear now. We'll give it a crack.
That's fantastic.
What we can do.
Well, I think that's a really good note to end on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate coming in.
Cheers.
Cheers.